Virtual influencers are extremely popular in China. They have taken the Chinese platforms by storm, and according to some reports, 63% of Chinese netizens follow virtual idols, and half of them spend more than $78.5 every single month on their favorite virtual influencers. Very big industry, and it's just starting up. Let's take a look. Hello everyone, Ashley here, and welcome back to my channel. We have another episode of Ashley's Digital China today, and we are going to cover how to win with Chinese influencers in 2022. We're going to cover influencer marketing in China and of course this new breed of influencers that are virtual. Of course, there's many types of influencers in China, and virtual are not the first or the only ones. So let's take a look at all these different types. First of all, we have celebrities, of course. These are your traditional mainstream celebrities, singers, actors, writers, that become essentially very desirable for brands to work with. It's really difficult to get the deal with them. Sometimes you even as a brand need to bid for an opportunity to work with a particular star. Very often they are becoming brand friends or brand ambassadors for the specific collection of products and brands. It's crucial to select the celebrity right and check their background, because auditing your celebrity or auditing even your influencer becomes a very, very important step before collaboration, as any changes in their family life, in their career, in their thoughts, and their social media presence will also impact and affect the brand. So choosing celebrities wisely is wise. Secondly, we have KOL, so the actual key opinion leaders. These are the trusted, well-respected influencers with proven experience and expertise in a particular field. For example, you can be a KOL, key opinion leader, when it comes to cosmetics or fashion, or you are really, really good at skating and you teach people how to do that right. Ultimately, you are a professional and you make the life of your audience easier by sharing your experience and expertise. Their niche can be anything at all, as we said, but they very often start with a big niche. Number 3, Wang Hong. So these are the bloggers that actually focus on lifestyle. They primarily share their life online. People like it, and that is why they get huge audiences. So not so much on the continent. Can be risky to work with Wang Hongs, because today they can be extremely popular, tomorrow not anymore. They can get into trouble quickly. And of course, we have number 4, WeMedia. So WeChat and Weibo Media. Right now, tons of WeMedia is operating on Douyin, and they're of course operating on Xiaohongshu as well, on Red, and many, many other platforms. WeMedia is a group of people or a company that promotes a product in a specific segment or an industry. For example, think about Time Out Guangzhou. This is a magazine that specifically talks about where to eat well, how to entertain yourself, how to have fun. So if this magazine, Time Out Guangzhou, would only be publishing their content on social media, for example through channels like WeChat, Weibo, Red, Douyin, it would become a WeMedia. And it's easy for brands within this industry to find and collaborate with these media outlets. Then we have KOCs. These are key opinion consumers, regular consumers who share their true and honest reviews of products and encourage others to buy what they love. So these KOCs are extremely powerful in China in particular, because so many of the Chinese brands use direct-to-consumer model to not only sell products to their customers, but also to involve their customers in the R&D process, marketing, sales, and many, many other processes. So these key opinion consumers become the guiding star of the brand that co-create and co-develop together with the company. Usually, they at one point also become microbloggers, and then they can blog on behalf of the whole industry and even maybe join the ranks of bigger bloggers. Next category is KOEs, key opinion employees. These are the bloggers that work for a specific brand. You can represent any brand at all, and you are full staff member. Your job is to entertain, educate, and sell the products online, very often through short videos and live streaming. And these key opinion employees, of course, also get boosted and raise their profile through the investment of the brand. So it's very often a win-win. Then we finally arrive to the other category, which is where we are today, the virtual influencers. They are, in other words, a fictional rendering of either real people or completely animated persona. So Chinese netizens encounter most of these virtual influencers in film and television and entertainment, gaming, and of course, live streaming. Now, when we've seen some of the categories, let's take a look at the definition of a good influencer in China and likely around the world. Well, for starters, authenticity is the key for a successful influencer, human or not. It is the cornerstone of every influencer strategy because you build a community, and this community needs to be built on something real and authentic. It's rather challenging for a virtual influencer because they're not just making sure their personality is authentic, if we can say so, but also their looks. While there are anime-like virtual influencers like Luo Tianyi, the trend is moving towards hyper-realistic renderings. With newer technology, they continue to be more human-like, but admittedly, humans can still easily recognize virtual influencers versus a human one today. Give it a couple of years. Apart from authenticity, a good influencer also needs to be relatable. This is a more important trait for virtual influencers since they are, at the end of the day, an artificial human creation. For these influencers to be effective, relatability and empathy are crucial for their audiences to feel. So the good questions to ask are, does it seem like their followers relate to their content? Is there empathy towards the experience of others, etc.? Virtual influencers are not new. They've been in China and in the rest of the world for years, but right now with this new focus and buzz around the metaverse, it is definitely becoming even more important on the agenda of many brands and tech companies alike. Today, virtual influencers are used in CRM, they're used in games, they're used in film and television and entertainment, and of course they are used in sales and building or managing communities. Talking about technology, let's quickly run through their looks. Of course, the virtual influencers can be very cartoonish, just like anime characters like Luo Tianyi, or they can be hyper-realistic, just like Ai. These virtual influencers were rooted in anime subculture and fictional Vocaloid stars that gave them their voice. Their notable virtual influencers in China include Ling, Nuri, and Angela 3.0, yes, a virtual influencer inspired by Kim Kardashian. In fact, these digital doubles, just like Angela 3.0, which is Angela Baby's avatar, was dubbed as China's Kim Kardashian for the 2021 Shanghai Fashion Week. Many celebrities and big influencers in China already started working on their own digital doubles, or as we call them in China, personal AI. All it takes is for you to spend an afternoon in a special tech facility where your face will be scanned and videos taken and voice samples and gesture samples virtualized, and in a couple of days you're gonna get yourself a personal virtual influencer that moves and talks and speaks like you. Then what can we do with them? Well, possibilities are endless. You can unleash your personal AI into the metaverse, but you can also slowly and gradually pass on your knowledge, the way you talk, the books you've written, the blogs, the emails, the knowledge that you have. And later on, some can imagine that actors will be virtual and anchors will be virtual, and even when it comes to live streaming, you might want to hand over your live streaming job to your personal AI. This is of course still far away, but nonetheless, many are already experimenting with personal AIs and how to integrate them into the business and daily operations. Now, let's take a look at why are these virtual influencers so important for businesses and brands in 2022. Why so many large corporations have the virtual influencer agenda specifically for 2022. Why do they want it now? Well, the first reason is likely buzz. There's a lot of buzz when it comes to metaverse, extended reality, the future of e-commerce, marketing, business in general, and nobody wants to be left out. So innovating and going and looking and exploring something new, the Web3 possibilities are extremely important. So apart from the buzz purely, when there is buzz, consumers are also interested and they want to see new exciting things they haven't seen before. So if you're one of the first brands that issued and successfully launched and collaborated with the virtual influencers, that of course is a big plus because you capture their minds, thoughts, and eyeballs. The next reason is pandemic restrictions. Yes, indeed, with the pandemic, especially in mainland China, we have continuous lockdowns and quarantines, and human influencers are susceptible to all of these things. But when it comes to virtual influencers, the availability issues are eliminated because they are available 24/7. And brands can essentially maximize their exposure when the influencer is needed. They can also be very flexible because they don't have, as virtual influencers, any special considerations on lifestyle or privacy. In other words, they are always available and the brand can easily shape the virtual KOL into their preferred brand voice and image, but more about that later. The next reason is you want to use virtual influencers in order to avoid scandals of real influencers like Austin Lee and Via. Yes, virtual influencers are safe, a rather safe alternative to scandal-prone human KOLs. And human influencers are emotional and they are, as said, human. So sometimes they do make bad choices that can cause scandals and PR problems for the brands associated with them. Take for an example the armored tank cake incident of Austin Lee that derailed his entire career. Another one is Via, a national sales icon whose social media accounts were wiped from the internet after her tax evasion case. Virtual influencers have no risk of experiencing these scandals, which is an important plus. Essentially, the physical and technical limitations that naturally come with a human influence is eliminated. So that creates some constraints, but also some possibilities. The next reason is to safeguard your brand's interests. Yes, almost 100%. Brands have complete control over the influencer image, voice, values, especially if you are the one creating your own virtual influencer. If you're collaborating with somebody else, you still need to do matchmaking. There are no personal issues or background that brands have to worry about, and they can completely curate the personality, look, and values of this virtual influencer instead of trying to find a real human with those values, check their background, and really hope that everything will work out, not only on the endorsement level, but also hopefully on the commercial level when it comes to sales and bottom line results. Talking about e-commerce, the majority of virtual influencers today are also built on the interest of younger audience, and these new virtual influencers can captivate young audience and add on this innovative factor to the brands, amplify their appeal and allure to consumers, especially the youth. So having a virtual KOL will help a brand in increasingly digitized space to take its place. And then the final reason, of course, is less cost. Yes, human celebrities and influencers often charge a lot in order to endorse a brand. But when it comes to virtual influencers, the collaboration fee is significantly lower. A brand only has to invest either in a good team to create and run the virtual influencer in-house, or outsource to a trusted provider that will do it for you. Of course, the cost of setting up virtual influencer can be high at the beginning, but diluted later on the more you work and sell through them. Today, more and more brands use virtual influencers in China to benefit their businesses, even without a general adoption of the Web3 or the metaverse. Even in the real world today, the advent of virtual influencers has made some brands shift from humans to virtual ones, or at least try some of the virtual ones. Additionally, brands are not discounting the draw of virtual influencers on the digital natives. According to Mei Chang, who is Alibaba Group's head of fashion and luxury for UK, Spain and Northern Europe, they are trendy among younger fans and Gen Z consumers versus KOLs. So today, there are 5 mainstream ways that brands use virtual influencers. Let's take a look at all of them. First of all, using virtual influencers to provide professional and personalized consulting services. As your brand's face, your virtual influencers are the CRM powerhouses that can provide personalized consulting services for example, your products. They can highlight your best-selling product to the target audience based on data, which is accurate and efficient and also feels very human, especially right now when this is still very new. Number 2, sharing the latest industry trends in the market. Beauty trends are among the most popular of these virtual influencers. You have, for example, Prada's Candy and Luo Tianyi as an example. Number 3, showing brand personality. Since brands can fully customize their virtual influencers, they can be the perfect avatars to showcase the brand's personality. An example is Huaxi's virtual human image of the same name of the Chinese cosmetic brand Floris's, combines classical elegance and modern fashion. Next is establishing your brand image in the future of Web3 and Metaverse. This new playbook for marketing in the age of Metaverse has necessitated the change from real humans to lifelike avatars in the Metaverse space. While we are still far away from actual implementation and life or work in the Metaverse marketing is heavily dependent on using virtual or augmented technology, which is always on. So humans who naturally need to rest, they will be using their personal AIs, right? Digital doubles, digital influencers to run the 24/7 future of Metaverse. Finally, we have hosting live streams and interacting with fans. So virtual influencers can just as easily host live streams and interact with their fans as their human counterparts. Live streams can help boost awareness for your products and draw the additional customers, of course. This being said, not everything is perfect when it comes to virtual influencers. They are still lacking empathy, emotion, connection, relatability, authenticity. They don't look like humans, and again, there is so much going for them, but there's also a lot of things that are kind of preventing virtual influencers from fully realizing its potential yet. So let's give it a couple of years. Brands that want to experiment with virtual influencers, make sure that your selection is number 1 priority. Either you very, very clearly think through how exactly are you going to create your own influencer. What does this influencer stand for? What are the things you care about? What are the things that your consumers care about? Because very often brands are so divorced from reality that what we think the customer needs is not exactly what the customer needs. So when you create your own blogger, virtual influencer, make sure that your research is done well on both technological part, how to make it happen, how to run it, how to organize your team, but also in this personality and what does this influencer stand for? For the next 3 to 5 years to come, you will still need to have human beings feeding this virtual influencer all of its communication and hot topics, etc., or the vast majority of it. Apart from that selection, you also need to be careful collaborating with them, because yes, it's so overhyped right now. So select the influencers that can show some track record. Remember that in China, any kind of blogger collaboration is largely inflated. If somebody promises you a certain sales number, run. They can show you their historic data but not promise you a sales number. So if there is a sales KPI, they're going to make sure this GMV happens, but then they will ship you 80% of products back. So in China, the returns of products when somebody ships things back are usually on the brand itself. So ultimately, there can be a lot of GMV and a lot of sales because live streaming KPI was set this way. But a few days later, 90 or 95% of people return the purchases. And you as the brand will have to pay for logistics and lose money on that. So it's not only for virtual influencers, it is big for all sorts of influencers. So do a great audit before engaging, of course. If you are confused about virtual influencers, influencer marketing in China, how to increase the chances for success in such a fast-paced environment, do get in touch and I'll be very happy to connect you with my team, and we will find the way for your brand to move forward together. This is it for today. Stay tuned for the next episode of Ashley's Digital China coming up in 2 weeks. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my LinkedIn profile under Ashley Dudarenok for more Chinese business insights coming up daily. And of course, let me know your thoughts on human and virtual influencers and the ways to launch your campaigns successfully in the China market in the comments below. As always, have a great week ahead and I'll see you soon.